Hello, Chris Walker with Big Angie Fan Channel here in beautiful Hawaii. And I have a new way of finding Angelina Jordan songs. For a long time in the description of all my videos, I've had basically a playlist by Rusty Shackelford, which until now had been like the easiest way to basically find at least one version of all of Angelina Jordan songs. But this new resource that you're seeing here, at dimlylit.net, is definitely quite a bit more useful for a variety of reasons, but it's partly that Rusty has stopped updating his list of Angelina Jordan songs. Actually, I noticed that it's actually been quite a few months now that he hasn't been uploading it, and he also hasn't been communicating with people, he hasn't been commenting, he hasn't been doing anything with the Facebook fan pages that he's involved with. And so, just starting out, I really like to know, you can contact me privately if you want, but I'm getting kind of concerned that, either he's in very poor health now, or he's even passed away or something. I just don't know. But Rusty Shackelford has been a very important fan for a long time. He's one of the early fans. But anyway, be that as it may, I just want to talk about this very, very useful way of researching Angelina Jordan songs. It's a database here, and as opposed to a YouTube playlist. And the best thing about this is the fact that it's sortable. These different columns, so you can sort it by genre, age, comments, who it's a cover of, links, or just the song title. And with the Rusty Shackelford playlist, he had it ordered in just one specific way, and it wasn't strictly chronological. He had it kind of broken up into different categories. So in that way, it was a little bit confusing to follow along. But this way, for example, if you wanted to look at it by age, you could sort it by age here. And so you have all of the performances from age 6 and age 7, 8, 9, all the way up. The default is by song title, but then that also is very useful, because one thing that Rusty didn't have on his list was, different versions of the same song. So in my description before, which I'm going to update to now have this as the primary source, I used to say, so to find one example, use Rusty's list, and then from there just do a search for other versions of the same song. But here you have, it's not 100% complete, but it comes pretty close, of all the different versions of each song. So Seventh Heaven, we have you can look in the comments column here, and it tells you more about each version here. So it has live versions as well as official videos. So for example, this one says Kongsberg Jazz Festival, and I just go to the links column and I click here on YouTube, and it takes to, okay, so this happens to be one that I did.
Wow, he got the watch. And
yeah, so here's a great
it's one of my original songs, so
here's a great version of it.
My dreams are slowly fading. I see myself in the mirror. I wanna love the person looking back at me. Staring on my shoulder.
Really easy to find with this database. So simply having it being sorted by song name, you can just look at it alphabetically. But then another really useful way is to go by age. And this is not completely, totally accurate. I noticed there was a few mistakes, but I mean, this took a lot of work to put together, so I'm certainly going to excuse a few mistakes here. But you can just see, it really gives you an idea of the timeline here. There's some from age 6, 7. One thing you notice from this is the effect of the pandemic, because you have all of these at age 8, 9, 10. It's partly because, there's these live versions from these jazz festivals that she was at, so that adds a lot of different iterations of the same song. But look, so many from age 11. I'm going to go fast here to age 14, which was the year of the pandemic, and then suddenly you see at age 14, after all of these years where she had many, at age 14 she only has 4 listed. Then at age 15, because the pandemic just kind of shut things down, so there's no live performances. Then at age 15 she starts to have a lot more, but they're mostly TikToks, and the way you can tell that is by looking over here at the links, because the links are very helpfully sorted out by what type of link they are. And you can see this symbol right here means it's a TikTok, and the W means it's a Wikipedia entry. So you can see that a lot of these from age 15 are either Instagram, that symbol, or TikTok. So that brings up one thing that it would have been nice to have on this, is it would have been nice to also have the length of the recording. Because the thing is, a lot of these at age 15 from TikTok are these really short, like 30-second versions. So I don't know if this is something that could be done more publicly, like Wikipedia is. You meet certain criteria and you can edit Wikipedia pages. It would be nice to be able to edit this database and have another column here that gave the length of the recording. And then in looking through these TikTok ones, you could avoid the ones that are, just, like 30 seconds or something like that. And, because there are quite a few TikToks that are, at least a minute, and some are even complete. But so yes, by age, it's just great. Going back to the to scroll all the way back up here. That shows you how much information there is here. But scrolling, sorting it again by just name of song, you get a really good sense of which songs that she's done a lot of versions of. So Seventh Heaven, there's quite a few versions here, but then others there's just 1 or 2. Now here above the water, that's an example of how this is not totally complete, because which version does he? Okay, so he has like the official version here, but there's also one that most people go to, typically, that shows some people dancing, and so he doesn't have that particular version here. So there are some like fan versions of songs that he doesn't, but it's remarkably complete. Now, like All I Ask, quite a few versions of that. And if you look at like All of Me, you can see it goes, if you start out with the name of the song, but then you also go over to the chronology here, within that sorting, you can see, okay, I want to hear how she did it at 16 compared to when she was 13. Fly Me to the Moon, for example, there's probably going to find more of that than anything else. Let's just see if that's the case. Yeah, Fly Me to the Moon. Okay, starts here, first one at age 8, and look at how many different genres, different versions of it we have. And we've only reached age 12 now. So the last one that is listed here is at age 16, probably from her, Chronological. So it's so useful for just being able to get a really good sense of the history of her recordings and how her voice evolved, her approach to songs evolved. This one, cover of, you can do that sort it that way, of course, and a lot of these is just, you can see that some, like, he didn't know, like, who the original one artist was, I guess, like, It's Magic. So in that case, that's something that, again, if this were like a public database like with Wikipedia, we could actually change this and fill in this information. So since we're sorting it this way, the first ones where it doesn't have that information there are come out first. But then, yes, you can see who these are covers of, and you can see who she has tended to cover the most. And yes, look at all of these Adele covers. And Amy Winehouse, probably even more than Adele. Yes, even more than Adele. So that's something really useful about this. And then one further way that you can sort it is by genre. And that really gives you a sense of how diverse Angelina Jordan can be in terms of her ability to choose to sing many different genres. Some of these things you can debate about some of these things. Like, I don't know if I would call, I think he has Man's World. I think Man's World, I looked it up and it was called soul. Of course, most of these are probably the biggest single category is jazz, jazz, jazz. Look at all of these jazz ones. But, there are, you can say, okay, well, I want to see, what she's done. Does she do any rock songs? And you can go down to rock here. There's a lot of them that they're calling pop here. But there are a few, I think, that they're calling, that this person who did this, they're calling the genre rock. I don't know if I would call this many of these pop, but anyway. There's the one Amy Winehouse song, Our Day Will Come, that they're considering to be reggae. But rock, okay, we've got Sign of the Times, Lost on You, Purple Rain, Love of My Life. So there are a few songs that at least this compiler is considering to be rock, which I pretty much agree with Sign of the Times, certainly Purple Rain. But anyway, it's one person's decision of to which genre they go into, but it's just another useful way to sort this. So this is just a wonderful list that I am going to be going through. I'm going to go back to, I think, probably the most useful for me is this alphabetical sorting. And I think that if I just scroll through here, even with the amount that I know at this point about Angelina Jordan, I think there's probably going to be some other some versions here of songs that I'm not familiar with. And so by doing this alphabetical sorting, I can see all of these different At Last, Concert in a Shopping Center, 2014. I think this is a really early one. I do think I've happened to have seen this one, but for a lot of you, she's only 8 years old in this one, a lot of you might not have seen. Right, so like this is a really rare one. That's a super rare one.
Oh, yeah. The skies above are blue.
I happen to have seen that one, but I'm sure as I go through all of this, I'll probably find some that I have either not seen or maybe just saw one or two times. And also, the TikTok ones. So in terms of, the way it could be improved, I guess the single improvement that I would most want is to add in a column about the length of the song. Because so many of these are TikTok songs, and it would be nice to know if it's the really short ones. You know, like this one is, let's see what this one is, Blue Moon. Like, probably the YouTube is like a YouTube version of the TikTok. Let's see what this is.
Blue moon,
Oh, okay.
you
Yeah.
saw me standing
So that is the YouTube
alone
version of the TikTok,
without a dream in
but it's been
my
straightened out.
heart, without a
So, you know, I had seen that, but only once or twice. Okay, yes, Bohemian Rhapsody, they're calling that pop rather than rock. But you see, look at, there's all these different versions of it. I like how they say parking garage studios, when what they really mean is it's just recorded walking in a parking garage. Let's see. I just want to close this out with one that... Right, so like here's one that I have seen, but oh, it's interesting here. This is originally a TikTok, but they only have it listed as a YouTube here. But let's close this out with this. This is a fairly rare one that probably a lot of people haven't seen. So it's just an example of how useful this is. So anyway, before I play this, I'm going to close it out with that. But I just wanted to say that from now on, I'm going to have that in the description of all my videos, probably above the Rusty Shackelford playlist, which was the main thing that I had before of how to find her songs. And this is being updated very often, I can tell, because when I go down to the most recent stuff, it's quite recent. All right, so let's close it out with Bust Your Windows.
I bust the windows out your car, and no, it didn't mend my broken heart. I'll probably always have those ugly scars, but right now I don't care about that part. I bust the windows out your car after I saw you laying next to her. I didn't wanna, but I took my time. I'm glad I did it, 'cause you had to learn.